Josh, and this is an Energy Extra. We are talking about some major news out of Oak Ridge. The emergency sector map is changing. So this means some homes that once fell into these zones don't anymore. We've got the old map and the new one pulled up here for you. So take a look at the old version right here. I want you to focus on the western part of this map. That is zones B, C, D, and E. Those are no longer considered potential risk zones. Here's the new map. You're going to see those areas are no longer highlighted. The emergency sector map shows zones DOE and the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency designated in case of a potentially dangerous event happening at one of the DOE sites. So what does this mean? Why'd the map change? For those answers, we are bringing in Stuart Bain. He is with Emergency Management here at DOE. Stuart, thank you so much for taking the time. For folks who maybe aren't so familiar with these emergency sectors, will you explain?
Sure. Emergency planning zones or sectors were created around the DOE Oak Ridge Reservation, including the DOE Oak Ridge Reservation, to provide appropriate alerts to off-site members of the public for events that could occur on the DOE Oak Ridge Reservation. Further, it was the sectors or zones were created to enable emergency planners and responders to respond appropriately with the knowledge of, for example, which sector was the sector at risk.
Now, it's a big deal that we were able to get to a point where some of these zones are no longer needed. What enabled us to get here?
Gosh, decades of effort to allow us today, to allow we emergency planners and emergency managers today to be able to say, off-site emergencies from the DOE Oak Ridge Reservation cannot occur in these particular emergency planning zone sectors, particularly west and north of the East Tennessee Technology Park, now known as the Heritage Center.
Okay, so those folks don't really have to concern themselves with this anymore. So again, let's go ahead and show that updated map for you. We're talking about zones B, C, D, and E that are no longer needed. Stuart, what's the future look like? Will there ever be a time where we will maybe have no emergency zones?
That is a great question. It is likely to be not possible. Given the importance of the Y-12 National Security Complex, given the importance of the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, we are likely to continue to have emergency planning zone sectors around the DOE Oak Ridge Reservation. However, the efforts of the DOE Oak Ridge Office of Environmental Management, enormous efforts that are reducing the risk to the public.
And of course, as always, the goal is to plan and prepare, but hope we never have to use these. So if something were to happen though, how will people be alerted and what do they do next?
Local governments and the state government provide for emergency alert messages, emergency alert services, EAS messages, and you can get them. We all can get them. And that's the primary means by which communications will occur for the sectors, the emergency planning zone sectors that have now been removed from the DOE Oak Ridge Reservation EPZ map.
Now, this is all a direct result of cleanup efforts being successful. I know, Stuart, you have said that your goal has always been to eliminate some of these sectors. Now, you've got a pretty neat story that I think folks would find interesting if you're comfortable sharing. There is a quote that you said has really driven you. What was that?
In 1992, we released the first week-long training program here in Oak Ridge. The individual to kick off that week-long training program who came down from Washington, D.C. was none other than the DOE historian. His name, Benjamin Franklin Cooling. Really. And he said something memorable I will never forget from 1992 to this day. He said, "We've done everything we needed to do to win the Cold War, and now it's time to clean up our sandbox." And I think the folks in the training program realized what he was saying, that it was time to put our efforts into cleaning up our sandbox, make it useful and commercially useful again.
Stuart, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
If you'd like to take a look at the updated map for yourself, this is all posted online. Head on over to tn.gov/TEMA. You can type in your address, find out your zone right there. Thank you so much for joining us for this Energy Extra, where we take a story from our newscast and go a little more in-depth online, because sometimes you just need a little extra energy.